Sup shitters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an acting Sweet Lily Love titled Suicide Girls 2023. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on SoundCloud. We've got new version of my cover of the Cock Sparrow classic, vocals by Kellyan, accordion by Kamil Lukaszewski, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what you think. Let's go. Suicide Girls 2023, the remake. It's so intense from the bat with the vocals panned on the sides, the synths, and the sort of the radio filter that we've got a bit of distortion on them, you know. It's very loud, but makes sense for like the hardcore genre. That's totally fine. Nice drum crescendo here, that fill there. Tempo change, sick. Kind of takes you by surprise a little bit, you know? Nice jungle beat there, that break beat was kind of dope. So where are we going with this build that we've got here? Again, uplifting, sort of happy hardcore melody here. Nice and catchy here. Great sidechaining of the kicks to the bass line there. And there is a bass line there, it's very subtle, but it does work. Repetition of that build that we have with the snare drums works well. I'll put the single out here up as well, just for it, so you can check it out. I remember the Suicide Girls. They were a thing back when I was like in my my teens, into like the late 2010s, late noughties to early 2010s. It was like kind of an emo kind of scene kind of thing, wasn't it? It's cool. I remember that, eh? Nice amount of dynamic ranges. I like how things go down energy level wise and back up for the build. Good. I think this one's mixed a bit better than some of the other tracks I've heard from Sweet Lily Love recently. I think that's really positive. It's leveling the dynamic range a bit. It's kind of dope. Obviously, a lot of work's gone into like not just like the actual instrumental parts and the melodies and variations there, but it's also just the automation of the volume of some of those drum parts as well. The way things are panned on the sides, the constant change in movement within the track is really appealing. It's almost a little bit too chaotic, but oh, why did we go down in tempo here? Is that to kind of match the vibe of the oi kind of punk vibe of the Cock Sparrow stuff? Get in the backseat, know your place. She's with the Suicide Girls. Is that like a synth accordion or something like that? Nice use of filtering here to bring out the higher elements of these synth parts.
She's with a suicide girl.
I might actually have a look up at the lyrics of this track, the original one, just to kind of get a vibe for it, because I don't really know what the track is about. So this is the conclusion of my review of Suicide Girls 2023 by Sweet Little Love. So I get what the Suicide Girls song is about, because I listened to the original as well. Basically, it's about Suicide Girls being this really tough like gang of women who like go out and party all night, and you can hear them in the bars and everything like that. And if you tried to take her away, you'd be dead. Like, yeah, it's basically saying these are a tough bunch of women and don't screw with them. That's effectively the vibe I got from this track. And it's an interesting take on it. Like, I think that the happy hardcore vibe is so different from the original that it's kind of fun to do it that way. I think the original with like the punk kind of versatility to it, it definitely suits the groove of it. You can kind of imagine that bar precedent, you can kind of imagine that bar precedent with it, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, like the vocals were good. I sometimes it was a little bit difficult to hear them clearly, I think, just because the kick was so dominant. You know, I still enjoyed listening to it. It was great to hear those melodies in there, and they made sense with the harmonies and melodies that you had within the track. You know, that the melodies even were quite similar to what we had with the original, you know. I think it may have even been in the same key signature, which is kind of dope. So that's cool. So it's kind of remade from the ground up, which was nice. I like the fact that we paid sort of respect to the original like that. I think if we'd completely gone away with from the core progressions and other elements there, it would have been too alienating. So well done to Sweet Little Love for doing that. I like the fact that in this track we had a nice semblance of how do I describe it? We had a nice semblance of you know, like vocal technique from the singer. I think that it made sense only having the one singer as opposed to any sort of harmonies beyond that, just simply because I think that was the way it was in the original. So that's fine as well. And all in all, despite the fact that there were points where I couldn't really make out the words clearly just because of how dominant the kick was, I'm still nonetheless happy with how the vocal performance went. That's more of a studio side of things. So that's cool. And again, like the panning of the different vocals at the start there and the filtering of them as well from a production perspective was great. And tonally, it made sense with the rest of the elements in the mix or the arrangement at that point. You know, the track itself at 4 minutes, 4 minutes 25, it's not short. I think it's longer. It's like a minute longer than the original, if I'm not mistaken. So there is more going on in the track by virtue of that. I think that we managed to do well with that time there. There was lots of variation with the different drum lines there, with lots of builds there with slow kind of crescendos or speeding up of the snare parts there or the kind of drill drums. Although that kind of buzz there. The quarter note kick parts where things dropped and just got really intense and heavy. Bits of airiness there where there was less percussion. There was lots of range there in regards to the rhythms and grooves there. And there were tempo changes as well, which I kind of like as well. It's kind of something that I've heard a little bit in Sweet Little Love stuff. And although initially when I did the review, I wasn't like super duper set on it, I understand that it's more for the kind of the aesthetic of the original. So hearing the original, it makes sense why we did it that way. The bass lines were really, they were relatively subtle. Maybe it's just the headphones I'm using, although to be fair, if there was too much bass, you definitely know. So in that respect, I actually think they're pretty well balanced. You know, there were so many bright elements in the mid and high ranges that maybe they were just kind of like more sort of like easily perceivable, which is something that's absolutely reasonable. I mean, you've got a lot of sort of like synths on top there that were kind of competing for attention and pads there. Some lead melodies when there weren't vocals there, which I kind of like as well. If we did have the leads in the center, the vocals were to the sides or vice versa. There was lots going around the stereo field as well. And while there was a little, there wasn't a huge amount of complexity to the arrangement or like from regards to the harmonies and melodies, I think that was just to mirror the way that the initial went. We didn't have any weird sort of semitonal chromatic bits or anything outside of the major scale shapes, which I think was smart because that would have, again, been a little bit too alienating from the original. There's a bit of raunchiness in there, but this was a lot more of a kind of chirpy, optimistic, kind of happy vibe as if it was celebrating the fact that the women were like that as the Suicide Girls, you know. They get in the backseat and know your place kind of thing. You'll only be sent there by invite. It's a hell of a vibe, man. It's kind of dope. I kind of dig it, you know. I know a woman like that. It's tough as nails and you don't screw with them, and it's cool. It's fantastic. So I'm glad that we managed to make a happy hardcore track like this without kind of killing the intent of the original. So well done on that front. The recording, mixing, mastering, studio production was good. I'm happy with how it sounded for the most part there. Aside from like a few bits where the kicks kind of sounded like they were overpowering or cutting into the vocals a little bit too much. I think it was just because of how loud the track was. Like how it was limited and compressed, but it is better than what I've heard in some songs like over the time I've reviewed Sweet Little Love, and I'm really thankful for that. We're definitely getting the hang of REQing and filtering there. It was nice and bright as well, despite the heavier sort of elements there, kicks, so it did sound a little bit more sort of commercial grade there. The vocals, I still think could have been like, I don't know, maybe a little bit louder, but I do think it was genuinely just a compression thing and like the limiting, the mastering, so to speak, of things, because it was nice and wide in the stereo field. There was automation and panning of the various elements of the mix, and including the, you know, like the volume and those crescendo bits. We clearly understand our post-production, and we are getting really confident, I think, at figuring all that stuff out. It's just that I think that and this at this point in time, it's literally just that I think this track was maybe, I'm not sure what they mastered it at, what LUFS. I think you can get away with 12 LUFS nowadays with most music. If you're having to do more than that, you're kind of like going to kill your dynamic range. So if this is something we're already doing, then it's just really compressed, but it is not, because there was dynamic range. So I'm pretty sure it was just the vocals and the drums having a bit of an argument there dynamically. Because again, you can see literally in the waveform, if I move to that side, you can see there's literally a dip there, and that's really positive. I'm glad there's dynamic range there when things go down. That's really awesome. It's just, that's the only thing. But aside from the issue with the vocals and the drums occasionally, I'm happy with how things were leveled. There weren't any weird sort of resonant frequencies or anything like that. All in all, it was a well done track. I'm really happy with it, and this is my review of Suicide Girls 2023 by Sweet Little Love. Hopefully, hang on before I finish. I don't know where the accordion was. I didn't hear like a traditional accordion sound, and I'm not saying that it can't be like a different type of accordion sound. It's just that I didn't hear an accordion specifically. Maybe it's just I missed the part. Maybe the part I said was like a synth accordion or something like that. Maybe it was modulated to suit the tone of the rest of the elements of the mix. I'm not sure, but that's just for transparency. But if it was that melody at the end that kind of replaced the vocals as a foil, that was dope. So well done on that front. But yeah, this is my review again of Suicide Girls 2023 by Sweet Little Love. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check them out via their various social medias and their SoundCloud page. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.